Welcome to Pictures on the Scorecard. My name is Seth McWhorter. I am a graphic designer and branding professional in the golf industry. And as always, I'm joined by the co-founder of Best Ball Media, Robbie Woodard. Tonight's an exciting show that we're recording mostly because I get to commiserate with a fellow graphic designer in the golf industry. We are super excited to welcome Maria Cianchette of Sometimes Draws on Instagram, and I believe there's an underscore at the end of the handle. So first off, check her out if you haven't already. Maria, you live in Portland, Maine. You've been over the past few months really coming on the golf scene with some creative illustration work, branding work, and we couldn't be more excited to welcome you to the show. And maybe just start out by telling us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and maybe your history prior to getting into golf and how you got into golf in general. But please introduce yourself in your own words so I can stop talking.
Will do, yeah. Thanks for having me, for sure.
Yeah.
To kind of like just jump into my career, I guess. I went to school for graphic design. I kind of throughout high school and all that kind of like knew I wanted to do it. My mom was a graphic designer, so I had seen it kind of unfold and was always into art, but didn't want to go to art school. It was one of those like, what am I going to do with my life? And I'm 17, so let's pick something. So I went to a school that didn't have a graphic design degree, which was really smart. So I got 2 years into Elon University, and I remember my advisor being like, you should go to a school that has a design degree. And I was like, that's a really good point. So I transferred to the NC State College of Design, which is a pretty solid design college that they have. Went through their 4-year, pretty rigorous, I guess, graphic design degree. And since then, I've been freelancing, which has been really cool, really challenging, certainly has its ups and downs. A lot of branding, logo design, marketing, collateral, like literally anything graphic design related, was kind of what I was doing, just like pushing together projects and making it work for 6-7 years. And probably a year ago was just like super fed up with a lot of the work that I was doing. I had great clients. I was doing work that was successful and working out for them, but I just like, if I have to like design another ebook or presentation, I'm gonna throw my computer out a window. So I was like, I gotta figure something out. And I paint on the side too. I've always been into like landscape painting. So I was like, maybe I'll do that. I don't know. And then started illustrating more digitally, and that's honestly like pretty new to me. I just kind of like challenged myself to like learn it and try to find ways to enjoy it and just like make stuff for myself. And then obviously being a pretty big golfer, I just started doing kind of goofy little golf illustrations, and always kind of wanted to try to figure out a way to work in golf, find something like that, but I just like didn't even know how I would do that. So kind of fast forward to like this fall, I started the Instagram, came up with the Sometimes Draws name, which impressed myself with, and here we are. So that's the kind of quick rundown.
Did you grow up playing golf?
Kind of. So I learned as a kid. I remember doing like little camps like in the summer. I never really got into it until probably high school, like end of high school. I was the first girl on my high school's golf team, which was kind of cool. I was horrible. It was not good. But probably in the last like 6 or 7 years, like got really into it. So that's kind of I wish I stuck with it as a kid, but I think I'd hate it right now if I did, honestly.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I applaud you for coming straight out of design school and jumping right into freelance, because it's kind of one of those things where I'd imagine you had to learn a ton about the business side of things right off the bat. Is that stuff you're learning? Yeah, is that stuff you're using now in your career?
For sure. It's been learn along the way type of thing. I had a lot of like retainer and like contract clients, so like that the business side of it was fairly easy. It's like different than what I do now, where I'm doing more kind of like one-off projects. But yeah, freelancing I don't know how I've lasted this long, to be honest. Freelancing, it's like funny. I kind of joke like I've never really had a job, but obviously I have.
Well, I can definitely, I've experienced that myself. I think that a lot of my friends don't think I have an actual job, but they just don't know. Well, I think it's a testament, obviously, to your talent and your ability to do what you do, that you were able to jump into that world and be successful in it. What I'm curious to know, if you didn't grow up really invested in golf, what was the point where you started to see convergence between design and golf? Was there sort of an epiphany moment where you're like, holy cow, I can do that. I can do what I know how to do professionally in golf. What was that sort of starting point to get you into the industry?
Yeah. I'm trying to think back on like what that point was. I had a client like a year ago, probably last spring, and it's like a golf facility in Dallas, outside of Dallas. And that was one of the first golf-related projects that was like a real branding project. And that definitely sparked my interest a little more in like, okay, I enjoy this project more because I like what it is. It's not, like a construction company or like a software company. It was like I definitely invested more time and effort and energy into it because I enjoyed it. So then it was kind of like, oh, okay, I think there's probably something here that I should try to explore more, try to figure out how to make this happen. But even from then, like that project, a year ago till fast forward to like November, it was still, I didn't even think it was something that was going to happen. So it's been pretty cool.
So I'd like to kind of jump into this is a podcast. This is not a visual medium, so it's interesting to have a design related podcast in and of itself. But how do you describe your work and your style, if you feel like you have one, if if that's something you intentionally sort of cultivate? And then this is kind of an inside baseball question because I've experienced this. How do you think other people describe your style? Is there a difference there? And is it something that you like, or is it something you're sort of, fighting against?
That's the second part of that's interesting, and I haven't really given it much thought, to be honest. I think I don't know if I probably have a style. I don't know if I know how to like describe it. I like to think, I came from like a background of kind of more structured design, like more like kind of corporate identity systems type of design. So that's in there, but it's not really what I enjoy to do. I like more like artistic kind of creative feel. So it's probably a combination of those two things. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And then again, like I like the landscape art. So it's like, but that's totally different than like, drawing like a thing, an object or something. So I don't know. I think there's some crossover between all of those things, I guess I just mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's funny. Like I can relate to that where, you're sort of trained in design school to, you set aside your, sort of tendencies and what is easy, what comes easiest to you. You set those things aside because you're trying to learn new skills so that you can adapt to the problem. And in my experience, like in advertising school, it was always like you establishing the problem, coming up with a creative brief yourself, and then working through the learned process to solve that problem. Whereas at least in my experience in the golf industry, like you're sort of reacting to what's happening, what people are excited about, what people are gravitating towards. A lot of that comes through social media. And in my experience, I started doing some little animations like 6 years ago that people got interested in and wanted to see more of. that wouldn't happen without social media. How do you use social media for your business? Do you have sort of goals in mind when you post something, or is it like I'm working on this, I want to share it?
Yeah. I feel like I've kind of gone through like a roller coaster over the last, 5-6 months of like trying to figure that out. Like, what do I want to share? What do I want to gain from Instagram? But I mean, I get 100% of my business from Instagram now, which is crazy. But kind of backtrack to that, I think I've had some sense of strategy in what I post. If you kind of go back to some of my videos about like, making like golf brands look like, beer labels or tattoos, or I can't remember what the other ones were, but TV shows, like that stuff, I'm like, I kind of know that's going to catch on, and like it's just kind of something fun to do. It's just like somewhat mindless in the sense that it's like practice. But I also kind of know that's like people just are going to kind of eat this up. So that part of it was very intentional. At this point now, I'm kind of just sharing more work that I'm working on, because I want to share more of like, here's the type of work I want to do, not just like, here's Titleist, but in a beer label. So
you did a very good job. I thought you did a very good job. I'm one of those that's like eating that up, like you're saying, where you blend the pop culture and the golf references, and I thought you did an incredible job. You've asked a couple times for requests on what you should do next. What have been some of the weirdest things you've gotten?
There's just always weird stuff that's not even like why are you sending that to me? I don't even know what a good description of one would be right now. But yeah, I put out a prompt, call for prompts yesterday about something, because I was like, I just need something to like work on that's not client work, just like something fun and goofy, and I knew people were going to come up with some weird stuff. So I'm trying to, I don't know, it was like I got responses like everything from like robots to like design my logo for me to do free work for me.
Right.
There's a lot of that, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Well, it's just funny. Like I do that too. I don't know when the last time I did it, but I'm sure it was pretty recent, where like I asked for, in a kind of like veiled way, I asked for help from the Instagram audience. Yeah. Like the minute I do that, I know I'm not going to get anything good out of it. It's going to be a lot of like the same answer, or just weird, unusable stuff. Or it's like someone feels like they can jump in your DMs or whatever to try to like, get you to work for them. I mean, again, if you're doing good work and people are wanting to work with you, then that's great. There's nothing wrong with reaching out to us via social media, by the way. But has that sort of influenced your like how you run your business, the process that you take to get clients? You said 100% come from social media and Instagram. Like, I was like kind of looking at some of your work recently, and like there's like one or two people that are like, and they comment on every single one. Is like, I sent you a DM about my golf brand. Will you respond? How do you handle that kind of stuff now, and what do you think about it?
Yeah, it's tough. Because that does happen, and I feel bad. Like, I can't answer everything. Not that I'm like completely bombarded. But it's overwhelming. Like, I have work that I need to do first before I respond to new work. So it's super cool. It's not something I'm gonna complain about. But I kind of have been able to filter out better. Like, okay, if someone reaches out and they say, "Hey, here's this project I'm working on. Would love to talk to you sometime. I love your work," all that. Like, I know that's probably going somewhere, rather than just, "Hey, how much for a logo?" So
it's amazing how good grammar gets you your foot in the door faster than you make logo for me now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh man.
And the Instagram handle with a lot of numbers at the end of it.
Those are always good. Yeah.
Those are good ones.
Yeah, definitely not a bot. So you've done quite a bit of work in the golf industry in the past year or so. This is a really in the weeds question, and this is the only opportunity I get to ask someone about that does similar things to what I do about things like this. But is there something when you're drawing and you're coming up with ideas, whether it be a logo or illustration, what are the most frustrating things to draw, to incorporate when it comes to like golf illustration, just anything in general? And if that doesn't make any sense, I can clarify.
No, I think that makes sense. I think overall it's just finding like a weird balance of what hasn't been done before, because there's only so many golf like things, and then also you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. Like sometimes you can use something that's been done before, but I feel like designers, illustrators were always like, well, no, I have to come up with something completely different. And sometimes it's okay to like just explore, like, okay, I know I've seen this before, I know this is out there, I know like there's logos with tees and then there's logos with golf clubs, but like let's work with it and maybe something cool will come from it. So that's what I've been telling myself a lot lately, is like, don't just say no to something just because it's already been done. Like in my head, I just work it out. It might still work. As far as like things that are frustrating to draw, I'm trying to think. I don't know. I don't think I'm that good of like an illustrator of like people or things sometimes. So it's like, it's just kind of hard. Like you look at it a million times and you're like, this is horrible. And then kind of step away and you look at it again, you're like, oh, no, that's actually pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I think I love what you said about, you know, sort of not always feeling like you have to reinvent the wheel. I think that we in the golf industry who love logos specifically or any kind of creative work, we tend to look for ways to show like, I've seen that before. Like I know that's a thing. And I think in other industries and other design work, at least in my experience, it's like you're replicating things that have been done all the time. It's up to you as a designer or a creative person to do it better or put a spin on it that makes it take on a new meaning. And I think that's something that's valuable in the industry. So it's not just because I think at some point it's like, I think I had a design teacher, or maybe it was an advertising boss, one of the many bosses, was like, it's all been done. Like, chill out. Like, you're never gonna be original. Just do it better.
Yeah. Especially the more like kind of abstract it gets. Like, I don't know. I've never thought of myself as like a good abstract thinker, and like logos, not typically in the golf world, but like corporate world or whatever, are like super abstract and simplified. And it's like, yeah, you can only do so much with so many shapes. Obviously, it's endless. There really are like endless possibilities, but
it doesn't feel like that all the time.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
That's great.
From a non-graphic person, what are some of the tools and things that you use that make your life easier?
I like to keep things very simple. I have a laptop. I don't even have like an external screen. I have a drawing tablet that connects to my laptop that I barely use, and I have an iPad. And I like kind of live in Adobe Creative Cloud. I don't use much else outside of it. I probably do, but not like major stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty minimal when it comes to tools and software and stuff.
Well, on that note, kind of on the more process side of things, when you get an assignment from a client, somebody you've be it someone you've worked with before or a new client, and they kind of give you a lay of the land of what the problem is that you're trying to solve. Tell us like kind of in broad strokes, like what's your process that you take? Are you asking a lot of questions, making a brief? Are you kind of, tell us about how you handle that from kind of start to finish.
I think, like, as annoying as it sounds, obviously every project's totally different. Yeah, I lean more towards just trying to get as much information up front as I can. And, a project where someone, like, has what they want in mind is obviously totally different than, hey, I need XYZ help. So those projects are totally different, which is cool. It's nice to sometimes have, like, a client who's like, I kind of know what I want. I just need someone to do it. And within that, there's usually some level of like me kind of taking a step back and saying, okay, I know you want this star or whatever, but like maybe that's not the best choice. Maybe there's something else here, like something a little deeper, something that connects to the brand more, or just something that is more unique or something. So yeah, I mean, definitely pretty project dependent. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and again, these are all for my own benefit because I love to hear how designers handle their business, because it's always when you work with yourself, by yourself in a shed for long enough, you feel like you got to figure out if there are other people out there that do things the way you do.
There's a couple of us.
Yeah, which is great. And if looking around the golf landscape now, is there anybody out there that you feel like hasn't, been highlighted, or there are creative people out there that you kind of want to shine a light on, or people that we may know of that you admire in the golf creative industry?
Yeah, I feel like it's funny. I don't know of a lot of golf designers other than you. So maybe you just asked me to like give you a compliment, but
I did not.
You're really the only two out there.
Yeah, no, there's four of us. That's not what my intention was.
No, I know, but it's true. I've followed you forever. I love your work, all that. You know that. I follow a ton of golf photographers. Like I know nothing about photography. I just love it. I could like look at pictures of golf course, like Jeff Marsh's stuff all day long. Like trying to think of something that like probably hasn't been highlighted, and I'm kind of coming up blank, but
yeah. Well, I think that's super interesting because that's obviously one of the first places I go. I think there's the art side of photography and the skill that some of these bigger names that Jeff being one of them, the skill that they have of capturing these sort of intimate moments and aspects of architecture and all these things is so underrated. And
it's crazy. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
And I think I don't know if they know how much it inspires fellow creatives. I think that's something that we'd love to have some of those photographers on this show to talk about that, because I think it's something that is, again, sort of glossed over. So real quick,
I think to tie all that together, though, I think what both of y'all are doing and the folks on the photography or videography side, you are telling a story of something in a different way. Whether it's like you were saying, the photography of the course and the architecture there, or like y'all are doing, telling a story of a brand, a company. It really, what message are you trying to get across? What is going to sell? What is attractive to people? And I think it's really just wrapped around like what story is trying to be told. Y'all do a great job of taking maybe ideas, either broad or specific, and bringing those to life, where someone like me or other, let's say, consumers out there are saying, I want that logo on a piece of clothing, or I want to go play here because that looks awesome.
That's a great way to sort of sum that up. Maria, sort of wrapping things up a little bit, can you tell us about anything you're working on now that you're super excited about? If not, tell us about some projects that you want to get, that you aspire to sort of work on, and a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think of the last couple months. Last couple months have been pretty cool. I have some things that are like super startup brands, which is awesome because they're like, hey, I want to start this golf apparel company. I have these really cool ideas for t-shirts, but I don't know how to do it. And I'm like, I'm here for you. Like, I want to do this. Like, I want to help you. Like, this kid, I think he's like 25, and he's like so excited about his golf company. I did his branding. We just did like 3 just kind of simple-ish t-shirt designs, but they're super fun. And he's just stoked about it, and that makes me super happy. And so a couple things like that have been awesome. And then I have worked a little bit with Linksole, which has been super cool. I've worked a little bit with Eric Lang and Random Golf Club, super creative team that they have. And trying to think of things I would like to work on. I mean, a course logo would be awesome. whether it's like a rebrand or new place or whatever. I kind of have one in the works right now. I'm not really, it's kind of being dragged on. One of those like takes a while to hear back and all that. So I feel like we're getting there. But yeah, course logo would be awesome because you would see it on everything, and that'd be amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know that a ton of that work is sure to head your way if you continue to put out what you've been putting out. I think you've brought a really awesome, visual voice to golf, and I love that people are starting to see more of it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm happy about it too. It's nice to do work that you care about. Like that's really all that matters.
Well, I think there's a parallel in my career where in a totally different way or for a different reason you get fed up, and when people get fed up, usually interesting things happen. Be it changes in their careers or the confidence to do something different. So I applaud you for doing that and to getting into the industry. Because I think we're all benefiting from that.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, I think we'll go into the segment that we typically round out the show with. We call it the routine par. Robbie, I'll let you set up yours, and I didn't really do my homework. I only have one. We usually have at least two, but go for it, Robbie.
Yeah, again, these are just things that kind of jump out to us that are happening out there. We may see it on Instagram, Twitter, something like that. But the first one, I got to give a shout out to Bandon Dunes, right? It's their 25th anniversary. Mike Kaiser, what a place he's built. I know a lot of the folks, I think Jeff Marsh and many other photographers and creative types are heading out there to help celebrate that have been part of that story. So congrats to Bandon. I've never been out there, Seth. I don't think you've been out there either. If I remember correctly, but that's a place I would love to go, but it's pretty cool that they've been around for 25 years now.
Yeah, I have not gone, and it's on the list. Maria, have you been to Bandon?
I have not. I have a trip booked for 2025.
Awesome,
Nice.
Awesome. Well, in the meantime, if Bandon, if Kaiser, if you're listening to this, we are available.
We'll record live on location.
Yes, I love that. The one shout out I want to make, and it's a brand that's been around since like 2020, I believe. Cole Young started Metalwood Studio, which it's sort of almost like an art project. And he captures through products and design the era of golf that I got it. Like it was when I got into golf, was like the early 2000s, and this brand has done an incredible job of capturing this aesthetic that I remember very fondly in the golf world. And I think I wish I had it pulled up, but they have sort of a description of their story, and it's like they describe fashion in the early 2000s or late 90s, early 2000s in the golf world. It's like, let's make these guys as frumpy looking as we possibly can, and that summed up me as a 7th grader playing golf to a T.
Very nice. Yeah, you need a bunch of that stuff to wear on the course now.
Yeah, I don't think I could pull it off now. All these confident people are buying it, and they're much more stylish than I am.
Yeah, Maria, we had thrown out there if you might have had anything we should pay attention to.
I'm going to be super lame here and say that I have nothing on the spot. I'm sure I could come up with something. But...
All right. I'll say this.
Come on, be creative.
Yeah. Go check out Sometimes Draws.
Yeah, there you
go. Last one, I'll round it out. The Sunday Red, they announced it. Today's May 1st. They announced Sunday Red is now for sale. On the merchandise, that is. I looked at it. It's one of those things that I guess like most things out there, you're paying for a logo. And if you look at the products that are on there, it's like, I'm not going to spend that money on that. Nothing really jumps out to me like, ooh, I've got to have that. So, but maybe, it's there. Somebody's going to buy it. So, but yeah, Sunday Red is now for sale.
Yeah, I saw it as well, and yes, somebody will buy it. I'm in the same boat as you are, Robbie. I don't think that's gonna find its way into my closet. Not because I don't like it; it's just not really,
Yeah.
I'm not the target for that. I'm curious to hear what you think, Maria. We both on like separately on social media kind of weighed in on the branding controversy of Sunday Red, if there ever was one. You know, you had some design thoughts for the logo. What's your reaction to the launch? I mean, just style of the clothes, the branding in general.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really looked. I looked at quickly at the launch today. Obviously, like, I'm not gonna wear it, considering they don't have women's clothes, and I don't really like Tiger, so I hate to say it, but sorry. I had thoughts on the logo when it originally came out, February or whatever that was. The video, yeah, there was a lot of people mad at me on the internet for what I thought about it. As you
That's so lame. Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought, like, I know the stripes mean something, and I'm not saying this is how I would redesign it. I just took a couple stripes off, and I was like, I think this just looks a little better. Not better. I think it looks a little cleaner. It works in my eye slightly better.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's right. And yeah, I saw I think I posted this today. The hat. They have a hat, and it's just the largest logo of all time.
Yeah.
And all I could think of was just, like, being a designer and just constantly hearing, can we make the logo bigger? And I was like, this is horrible.
Yeah.
But
There's some.
it was already sold out, so what do I do?
Yeah, it's like on eBay now.
Nothing matters. Yeah.
Well, there's some account people in the ad agency that I worked at that are probably wearing that hat because it is physically the largest you can make a logo on a piece of clothing. Yeah, I mean, listen, I applaud you for like putting your opinion out there, and I feel like I kind of did that, and I kind of hedged a lot of my thoughts on it with like, well, you know, it's maybe just not for me, but like I thought it was really neat that you took the time to like actually present something that, you know, that you saw as an improvement. I thought yours was a great, you know, addition to the to sort of the conversation. And that's one of those things that is interesting to me about branding is like, it's supposed to elicit a conversation. And you don't always control that. And like it or not, there's a lot of conversation around that. Mostly it was negative at the time. But I think now, like, it's interesting to look on like the comments, which you should never do. Like people are kind of clearly warming up to it, or maybe it's a different audience that's actually commenting, but they're warming up to this brand. And yeah, I mean, again, it's not for me, but I'm sure they'll sell a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's also just like, it was a new logo. Like, anything that came out was gonna get good and bad comments. Like, it's new. That's how that like happens. And it's Tiger, so people have strong opinions. Yeah, you're not gonna win right off the bat. It's not gonna be perfect. So I do think people have kind of come around to it. I think it's probably nice quality, obviously. And yeah, it's like kind of looks somewhat classic, timeless pieces with like a little bit of a weird logo on it. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, stepping back a little bit, and I know we'll kind of wrap it up, but it is funny, and I'm curious to know if you've experienced this, where you do work for a client, and they want to strategize on how they're going to launch it, and most of the time the stakes are pretty low. At least, you know, very rarely do I have an opportunity to work with the Sunday Red type of client, but like. Do you find it interesting that your work gets put out there immediately for comment and for evaluation when no one has all of the context of what goes into it, or in the background that you know you as the designer might have?
That's interesting. Yeah, I feel like most of like the kind of logo work that I've done has just been on such a small scale that it's like I hand it off, and like as long as they're happy with it and we're all kind of good with where it landed, like I kind of feel like sometimes all right, I'm good. But
yeah.
That's again like going back to work that I like didn't really care about as much. So I think it's kind of shifting now, and that'll be interesting to experience in a little bit of a different way if, you know, those golf courses come ask me for logos. So I'm
sure they will. Well, listen, it's been a lot of fun. if you couldn't tell, for me, because I don't get to talk about this type of stuff that's so specific to what I do. So I appreciate that. Please go check out Sometimes Draws with Maria Cianchette. Damn, I was so close to getting through this whole thing.
Most people say Cianchette. I hear it. I don't even hear it.
Yeah. Well, we'd already practiced, so it's on me.
I know.
Robbie, you're gonna have to edit out a lot of this. But listen, no, we're super excited that you came on and chatted, and I hope that we can do this again in 6 months or a year, and we can talk about all the incredible work you've done in the meantime.
That would be super fun. Yeah, I'd love to. And thank you guys for having me. My first podcast appearance, so it's pretty exciting.
Well, that does it for another show of Pictures on the Scorecard. I say it every time. I can't believe this podcast exists, but the fact that there are people like Maria Cianchette out there doing incredible work is a testament to the amount of creativity that's happening in the game of golf. And I hope you'll join us for the next round of Pictures on the Scorecard.